If the playoffs were to start today, the Seattle Seahawks will be the 3rd seed in the NFC, man. B. Walt in for Stacy Ross. I'm Michael Bumpus, Bumping Stacy. You know where you're at. And I'm looking at these standings, and you know when I used to play, obviously in college and the NFL, I look at the standings just to peep them every now and then to see what's going on. And I didn't play on very good teams in the NFL. At Wazoo, we were mediocre, about a 6-6 team every single year. But I'm looking at this standings, the NFC West, and the Hawks sitting at 7-5. If you talked to us 3 weeks ago, it was a totally different feeling for this team. They're at the bottom of the barrel. Arizona Cardinals are 6-6. They took a loss this weekend. The Rams are 6-6. They beat the Saints. And then we know that the Niners are 5-7. They lost to the Bills. But what is real about this team? Because there are some teams who have horrible records, but you feel like they're a better team when it comes to their roster, their personnel, their scheme, or whatnot. The Jets were one of those teams, at least personnel-wise. They are one of the worst teams in the NFL at 3-9, but you look at their roster, and you say, this team should be good. So now let's do that for the Seattle Seahawks. What is real about this team? What is fake? I'll start and give you a couple. What's real? I think Geno's a good quarterback. There's been a lot of ups and downs, smiles and frowns about this guy. He has turned the football over. Half of those I feel like weren't on him, but I think Geno's a good quarterback. Good enough to get you into the playoffs and to see what happened. What else is real? They got better at linebacker this year. They have some good linebackers. Ernest Jones and Tyrese Knight are making plays. Tyrese Knight with a fumble recovery yesterday. They're looking good. What else is real? The defense is playing at a high level right now. So those are what's real about this team. What you got?
Yeah, one thing I think is for real for this team is the offense, although hasn't looked fantastic, has been clutch. And you go back to the last 3 weeks, they have scored on their final drives that they've needed it every single week. So that whether they get a field goal against the Cardinals to get up by 2 scores, the game-winning drive against the 49ers that Geno runs it in, and then against the Jets, they they scored on their last 2 drives, a field goal and a touchdown to get themselves over the top. So the offense, although maybe the whole rest of the game has been slow, maybe not showing us exactly the explosion we want, when the time comes, when they're in crunch time, the defense has kept them in it, the offense is doing what they need to do. So to me, that is real, and that is Geno Smith's clutch gene. We always talk about that. We always talk about how he's one of the league leaders in game-winning drives for the past 3 years, and he's been doing that. That's real.
That's real. I agree with you 100%. We're trying to figure out if yesterday counted as a game-winning drive. I'm sure there's some stipulations around it, maybe the time left on the clock or whatnot. We'll figure that out. All right. What's false about this team? I don't think this is a 3rd seed type of team. I just don't think they are. I think when you look at the NFC West, they are benefiting from their circumstances. The Cardinals had a 4-game win streak. Now they lost 2. The Los Angeles Rams started off rocky. They might be turning some things around. Then we talked about the woes from the San Francisco 49ers. Injuries have beat them up. The snow jacked them up last night. I just don't think they're a 3rd seed type of team when you break it all down. And I think that because they're still growing. They're still maturing. They say like men that don't stop growing until they're like 23, 24 years old. These guys are like 21. They're 21 years old. They're old enough to drink. They can drive. They can do all these. They can vote. They do all this other stuff, but you still don't trust them to run your company quite yet. Even at 24, don't trust them to run your company. But you still don't trust them quite yet to run your company. I think that there's still some maturing that needs to happen and some development on that offensive line.
Yes, 100%. And to me, that all this and the maturing you're talking about, all that is these self-inflicted wounds that we've seen week after week after week after week, whether it be snaps over the head, sacks taken, getting you out of field position, and taking points out of the board, and just fumbles on even non-contact fumbles. Right. How about that? On special teams, things like that are what make me think you're right. This might not be a 3rd seed team yet, but there's still a lot of football to play. They can still fix that. They can still change my mind on that.
All right, let's talk about the special teams. Is that fixable? People were calling for Harbaugh's job yesterday, and you and I are sitting back there. We are returners. When the ball is up in the air, it's up to the returner to field the ball. There's nothing the coach can do to make you magically field the football, but there are some other things that we saw on the kick return.
Yes. The kick return, the kickoff coverage from the Seahawks. Look, Bump, you covered kicks, right?
Yeah.
Did you make any tackles?
Yep. Oh, did I make it like 1 or 2?
Did you like to make tackles?
Heck no, that's not what I do.
We're spread receivers. So when we look at that kickoff coverage team, and this is no knock on these guys, but we see guys like us on that team. We see receivers. We see 5 offensive guys covering. You see your back-end receivers. We saw Kenny McIntosh. You know what? They might be good at this, but that's the root of this. You saw a couple guys missed tackles in the whole. The coverage was there. That's the thing. Guys were in the right spots to make plays. They just didn't make the plays because one. I don't think you want to tackle. I don't want to tackle.
I can't believe we're throwing our offensive guys under the bus, but it's true.
That's not our job.
But it's true.
That's not our job.
Do you remember the first time they asked you to go out there and tackle somebody?
Yeah, I hate it. How about the first time I was asked her to go? I mean, it's different. But I remember when I was in San Diego. This is a little tangent, but I was trying to make the team. We were in training camp, and I was on scout team kickoff return, and I'm on the front line, and they're making me run back 30, 40 yards.
Oh, man.
And there's a big man named Brandon Seiler who's starting kickoff coverage, and we ran this about 9 or 10 times in a row, and he would run me over every single time. But then the coach would go, again, we didn't do it right, again. Man. And I'd get ran over. So that's when I knew I wasn't really, I wasn't made for the big man part of the game, or the blocking and the tackling part of the game. That was the finesse. Give me that ball. Give me that ball in my hands. That's what we're built for.
I feel you. My first time was against the Chicago Bears, and I was an L1. And no, the L1's a safety. I was an L2. And you get down there, your job, you try to make a play. You don't have to break down. Coach tells you, you go down there and you just take a shot. And I remember I went down there, I take a shot, I force him inside, and coach was like, well done, you did your job. And I go, I didn't feel like I did my job. I missed, and he went inside. And I just never felt comfortable running down there and tackling anybody. The last time I tackled somebody was in high school. And in high school, you're just a better athlete. I don't think it makes you less of a football player. That's just not what I do. So when we looked at the film and we saw 5 offensive players on the kickoff cover team, we felt like this could be a problem because defensive players are more equipped to play that type of physical game.
Yeah, it's amazing so same with me, Bump. In high school, I was safety. You go and make all the tackles. That's what you do. That's what you're accustomed to. It's amazing what 4 years of college, singling out, playing one position, softens you up. That's all. I'm a wide receiver. I'm a returner. I don't have to cover any kicks, nothing. And then you get into the NFL, and they're like, hey, come do this. Do this. But I used to be the R2, the speed guy down there. And I would just... Luckily, we played when touchbacks were about everything. Every single play was a touchback, and it was just a race. That's all it was. Race to the goal line. The guy's kicking out of the back of the end zone. You want to get on film being the first one down. So I didn't have to make many tackles doing that at all, actually. It was just, high-five the crowd at Lumen. We're hyping the fans up, that kind of thing. That was my job.
I like that.
But unfortunately, on the other side was Ricardo Lockett, one of the fastest players in the league. So I was always like second place.
Burners.
So anyway, he had some burners. But, yeah, I think that could be a little root issue. It's just a little personnel because it's not anything about the scheme. It's not about anything like that because guys are in the right spot. There's 3 or 4 missed tackles of guys in the hole and doing their job right, just not executing it. And when you're a special teams coach, what are you supposed to do? I mean, you work on little tackling drills every day. I get it. But you want guys in the right spot. Now it's their job to show that they can do it. So I guess part of the blame on Harbaugh would be you're putting those guys maybe in a spot that they're not accustomed to. But this was the first time. This is the first time this has really stood out. And so that's where I'm going back to. That maybe it was just a fluke, just like those fumbles were. There's nothing the special teams coach can do about the fumbles. There's nothing. I mean, that's one player kind of messing it up. That's it. And for lack of a better term, but fumbles also happen. So just got to clean that up as a player. The coach, he'll mention it in the meetings. He'll say, we can't do this. Game-changing moments. Yes, the players already know that. The second that ball pops out of his arm, he already knows that. He already knows you can't do that. You can't fumble, and he's going to make the change.
All right, well, that's what's real and what's false about this team. But what is real, they are in first place and in NFC West. So you should be happy, applaud that.